Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Nicole with a Bushel and a Peck Designs. Today we are working on another 20-ounce straight tumbler from the Tumbler Supply Store. I gave it a quick little red and blue ombre, and then I'm going to add some epoxy once that is all dry. And I just took this silver mica powder that I got in a set from Amazon, and I'm adding the tiniest bit to my epoxy, and then I'm going to just apply that over, and I will let you know, I think you could see it right there before I flipped this over, that I had a little bit of a fisheye, and I think I heated it too much. I was trying to make sure that the mica powder didn't have lines in it. I wanted it more just a really good coverage, but not like streaky or swirly or anything like that. So I was trying to heat it to give it a really good, well, I did heat it like I normally do, but I heated it a little bit more than I usually do, so I'm pretty sure that's what caused the little fish eyes. There was only a few, so I wasn't really too worried about it. But once that layer of epoxy was all dry, then I'm going to add stars to the top blue section. I'm just inspired by the American flag here for this design, and I wanted to do something a little bit different but still keep it pretty traditional with this sense of the white stars on the blue and then the red and white stripes on the bottom. I got a few of those stars stuck to my table when I was working on this, so I just peeled those off and put them back on the tumbler in the right spots, and we will move on. I cut some grungy stripes, and I'm going to just randomly place those all over the tumbler. I didn't measure or do anything scientific for that. I just cut a bunch, and then I'm just randomly placing them and spacing them apart. At the end, you will see I did do these ones a little bit too close, so I just peeled them up and spaced them so they all looked pretty close to around the same distance apart. If some were closer and some were further apart, that was totally fine. I just didn't want them to be anything specific or uniformed, and I cut two different stripes, but then I kind of turned them in opposite directions, so just it gave it a really ununiformed look. This design overall is another pretty simple one, but I hope that I'm not boring you guys with these simpler designs, but I really wanted to show you that even the simpler designs, you can really punch an impact on the design with it still being fairly simple overall. So after I applied all of that, I gave it a good coat of epoxy, and then I'm going to give it some distress looks. So I'm going in first with some alcohol ink, and I just had a brown color that I wanted to do black, brown, and white, and I'm again going in with the different textures. So we have the vinyl, and then on this layer we are doing the alcohol ink and paints. So it really just balances and gives it a lot of dimension with those different textures. So first I did the brown alcohol ink, and then I am using some white chalk paint. I tried not to go too heavy-handed because I am very heavy-handed in this sense that I tend to go overboard because I don't know when to stop. So I really had to just like be okay with how it was and then make myself stop and move on to a different color, or stop and just do no more. So after the white, I did go in just very lightly with the black. I didn't really want the black to take over, and I didn't want it to muddy up with any of the white and make it gray. So I'm really going very light-handed, the best that I could go light-handed. And again, I am using my hand as my paintbrush, and I just put a glove on and going to town with it. So after that, because the chalk paint dries fairly quickly, I am then just going to take a paper towel and just kind of dust off anything. Chalk paint is sometimes thick and will kind of crumble, so I just wanted to make sure there was no crumbly pieces on there. And then I am going back in a little bit and wiping it off as soon as I put it on, just to give it that movement from the paper towel that my finger doesn't quite give it on the like ends of the paint stroke, I guess you could call it. So it just kind of gives it that little feathery look. And then after I am happy with all of this distress look, I'm going to let it sit aside for a little while just to make sure it is fully dry. And then I'm going to give it yet another coat of epoxy. After that coat of epoxy was all done, I cut out the words God Bless America in just white vinyl, and I made America big, and then I made God Bless about the same length but a little bit smaller. I just like the contrast with the two different sized words but in the same font. My mom actually wanted this tumbler, and she wanted it to be a prize that they're giving away at their 4th of July party. So I wanted to make a more masculine-ish looking tumbler because she also ordered a glittery American flag one from me. So I didn't want some swirly fonts. I wanted it very masculine but still very bold. So I cut this out, and then I decided I wanted God Bless to be a little bit closer to the America. So I just applied that America first and then applied the God Bless. And then I gave this beauty 2 more final coats of epoxy, and it was all done. Again, it was a very simple design, but it's overall such a cool looking design with all that distressed on that flag, but there's so much dimension in it with all the different layers that it comes together really well, even though it is a very simple design. And that's it. I hope that I have inspired you in one way or another. And as always, I will leave all of my information, where to find me, and all the products that I use down in the description box. And I will be back yet again tomorrow for another tutorial in our Dad Inspired series. And until then, I will see you, and I hope you all have a good night. Bye, y'all.